guys, and welcome back to Arianna-verse. Today, I'm going to be continuing my summer reading series. If you don't know, I started a summer reading series this summer. I have 19 books on a list, and I have to read those 19 books before the summer is over, and I'm almost there. And this week, I have 5 more books. I know I said I would bring maybe 2 or 3, but this week I read way more. So let's get to it. My first book is from one of my, actually not one of, my favorite series, The Land of Stories. And it is the 4th book. It's called The Land of Stories Beyond the Kingdoms. This book is about Alex and Connor, the Bailey twins. And they are searching for the masked man because they believe that he is their dad. At the end of the 3rd book, Alex spotted the masked man stealing a potion from fairy godmother's chambers. And he took off his mask. So she definitely thinks that he is her dad. And then while Connor is searching with Alex's friends, he finds out it's not their dad, it's their dad's brother. So they figured out that the masked man is using the potion to travel into books and recruit literature's most greatest villains. So they follow him into different books, and later, while they're both in separate books, so Connor is in one book, and Alex is in another with some of her friends and some of his friends, he burns the books that they're in. And they read that the only way in and out of a book is going through the book itself. How are they going to get out of the books and save the fairy tale land before it's too late? You can find out when you read this book. It is so good, and I would rate it a 10 out of 10. My next book is called Call of the Wild by Jack London. This book is about a dog named Buck who was kidnapped and sold to a man to become a sleigh dog. And there's a lot of fighting between Buck and another sleigh dog named Spitz, and they're fighting for the leadership of the pack. Then they stop at a man's camp, and the man's name is John Thornton. Buck stays with John Thornton in his camp and grows to love him. And they also live with 2 other dogs. Then they start searching for treasure, and they hear that there's a tale of people that many years ago they owned the treasure, and some people say they died, and other people say they still roam in the wild, killing anyone that would come near their treasure. And while they were camping out near the treasure, when they almost found it, they got killed, all except for Buck, because Buck was getting food in the woods. And then a whole pack of wolves come, and Buck runs off with them into the wild and becomes a wolf. I really liked this book, but I didn't really like all the killing and all that stuff. But overall, it was really cool. My other book is from a literati box that I recently opened, and it's called Jack in the Bean Stalk by Blake Hoena. And this is a You Choose book. So it's a book where you get to choose how the story ends. So there's 48 choices and 25 endings. And here you can see the giant and Jack. So in this book, I read about 5 times because I started doing different ways of seeing the book. So one way you're reading the perspective of Jack's mom and how crazy she thinks Jack is when he brings back a pile of magic beans. Or in this book, they might change what Jack brings back. It may be magic beans, it may be screws, and it also shows you this perspective of the giant. And when he smells that there's a human in his house. And there's also Jack. And it talks about him and how proud he thinks his mom's gonna be when he brings back the magic beans, but we all know how that turned out. I thought this book was really cool because I really do like those books. The books that you get to choose how they go. So it might turn out great, it might turn out really bad, and that's what this one was about. And there's many others in this series. There's Cinderella, Goldilocks, and there's Red Riding Hood. I really like the series, and I would really like to keep reading it and enjoying these books. My next book is also from my recent Literati box. It's called Hamstersaurus Rex by Tom Aldenau. This book is about a pet hamster that comes to Sam's school. And they name him Hamstersaurus Rex because he growls. And then the hamster becomes loose in the school. And when a bully is trying to hurt Sam, the hamster gets mad and he does something to the bully, which gives him a big bump on his head. So the bully threatens to beat up Sam and to beat up the hamster. So Sam keeps the hamster safe, and one day the bully brings a snake to school, and he plans on letting the snake loose to eat the hamster. Will Sam help the hamster live, or will Sam be too late? I really like this book, and I really couldn't stop reading it. Like, I was in summer camp, and like many times I asked my teacher if I could read it and read it and read it and read it. So I think you would enjoy this book too. My next book is called Shark Bait by Szpirglas. This book is about a little girl named Orly who is going to take sailing lessons. But what she really wants to do is to track a great white shark named Delta. And she gets into a little trouble at the sailing camp because she's always focused on sharks. So her and her friend start tracking these sharks. And a lot of crazy things happen. And they figure out they're not really tracking a shark. And Orly helps some scientists that were supposed to be tracking the great white shark. This book was really fun to read. And I liked Orly's sense of adventure and like hunger to like go out into the sea. Like as soon as she got to the sailing camp, she ripped off her clothes, threw into the bushes. She had a bathing suit underneath and jumped in the water and started looking for a shark. And I also thought this book was really funny because of all the trouble that Orly gets into. It's kind of actually funny. And well, I really just love this book, and I think you would enjoy it. So those are the books that I read this week, and I've already read 10 of the books on my summer reading list. I only have 9 more to go, and maybe I can even read a little bit more than 19. We'll see. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and like my videos. And don't forget to ring that bell so you can get my notifications when I post my next video. Bye, stars! Well, that's a wrap up.